Assalamu alaikum. This is the KIK with the POBUMS Society. I'm here in Batavia at Kiss the Sky with Steve. Introduce yourself to the people.
Yeah, my name is Steve Warrenfeltz, and I own this establishment called Kiss the Sky, and we've been in business now for, 26 years. And
Stop. 26 years. So did you start in Batavia or did you start in another city?
We did. We started in Batavia on Randall Road in 1996, and we were there for 10 years. It was over where the Jewel food store is, yep. And we were there for 10 years, and we ran into a little issue there, and it had something to do with the fact that we had a concert at our store or a live show at our store that our landlords didn't quite like and agree with, and after we had that show, they opted not to renew our lease, and even though there was pressure put on them by the city to renew our lease because we were already 10 years in Batavia and had made a pretty positive impact, I think, on the music community here, and people recognized that, and they didn't want to see us go. But the landlord ended up offering us a deal that we could refuse. It was not really a good deal, and so we opted to move to Geneva, and we moved to downtown Geneva, right across from where the Starbucks is.
How long were you there up in Geneva?
We were there 6 years.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were there 6 years, and now we've been here just shy of 10 years. Yeah.
So full circle, and that's 26 years?
26 years.
Now, what inspired you and your friend to say, we're done with college, I want to open up a music store and spend all my money and put all my money in it?
Yeah, it wasn't really quite that easy, and it was a long road, and there was a lot of talk that took place from the time we got out of college and to the time that we opened up the store. I was 44 when I opened up the store. So if you do the math, I'm 70 years old now. So we waited a little while after college to do all this. And Mike, who you're talking about, Mike, same age as me, he's going to be 70 years old come this July.
Okay.
So we were doing other things for about 20 some odd years. I got my degree in accounting, and I spent 3 years in public accounting, and I took a job.
Wait. So you were a public accountant, or so you had a suit, tie on, and
I did.
So like none of this was there, like none of
No, but as time went on, I was there 3 years, and when I started there, my hair was nice and short,
okay.
and I wore a three-piece suit. But then as time went on, the hair started getting longer.
Steve in a three-piece suit,
and they knew I wasn't long for that profession.
Okay.
And I took a job with a client of mine, and it's kind of a funny story. They were technically bankrupt at the time, and they were a mess financially and accounting wise and all that, and I was hired on to straighten out the books, and I really did not want to stay there. I was heading out to Colorado to become a ski bum and maybe work at a bar or something, and then maybe one day buy that bar and just be a ski bum in Colorado. But anyway, they twisted my arm, offered me a little bit of money, more than what I was making, and I said, okay, I'll stay a year. In that year, I'll get you all set up, straighten up the books, and I'll hire somebody to replace me. I ended up staying there 20 years.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. It was fun. It was like, these guys were like the Wild West. They were hip shooters, and I was hired to kind of keep them under control and make sense of everything that they were doing. And
Kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street, or wasn't like that?
Yeah, sort of like that.
I'm not going nowhere.
Oh, boy. So, anyway, when I started there, I was the fifth person. By the time I left, there were 250 people
Oh, wow.
working for the company. We went from $750,000 in annual sales to $750 million, and had a great time. But I was getting burnt out on the lifestyle. I was traveling a lot. My kids were young, and I was missing a lot of important stuff with my kids and stuff, and I was just getting tired of that grind. And so I started talking to Mike about, we had always talked about opening up a record store, but it was kind of like a, I don't know, a little bit of a joke type of thing.
Okay.
Where we kind of felt like we would never do it, but we loved talking about it. And ever since we were young kids, Mike and I loved going to record stores, and we had massive record collections, and we were those nerds that in the school that, you know, read all the back of the album covers and knew everything about all the bands coming out, who produced it, who played on it, and all that kind of stuff. So we were hooked on music, and both of us were musicians as well. Not very good, but we were musicians nonetheless, and so we loved all aspects of music, and so we used to joke about it, and Mike and I became really good friends playing athletics, you know, post-college, playing on park district teams and stuff, softball, basketball, Sunday morning football, organized stuff. And we would always talk about, you know, what are we doing? We need to open up that record store. And then one day when I decided to call it quits in the corporate world, I had a conversation with Mike, and Mike was at a point in his career where he was ready for something different. And he said, if you're going to do it, then I'll join you. And really, up until the time we signed the lease over on Randall Road, he kept asking me, are you really going to do it? Is this really happening? He didn't believe for the longest time that it was happening. And once I gave notice at that company, I had made the decision that that's what I wanted to do.
Now, dude, would you remember the first year you opened? What was the biggest obstacle, and what was the first piece of music that you ordered to come in the store? Was it vinyl or 8 tracks? What was it? Vinyl?
Well, we opened up the store in the heyday of compact discs.
Okay.
But it's interesting.
That's 8 tracks.
No. Well, not too far from that,
Okay.
VHS tapes were still viable.
Okay.
We had VHS tapes in our inventory
All right.
when we opened up. It was only 2 years later that DVDs really became the thing. So we were carrying mostly compact discs and VHS tapes.
Okay.
We had some vinyl, and we had some cassette tapes, not 8 tracks. Although we might have had a couple 8 tracks in a box somewhere underneath our rack, you know, that somebody donated. Certainly we didn't buy them. At least I don't think we did. But we always had vinyl, and it was something that we elected to do to kind of make a point of difference. We're competing, at that time we were competing against big box stores, and a way to make a point of difference was to have some vinyl.
Now, was that the biggest seller at that time, or was CDs were still the biggest seller?
Oh yeah, CDs. From 1996, our business grew exponentially until 2001, and it was primarily due to compact discs.
Oh, okay.
Then 2001, not only did we have September 11th to deal with, which had an impact on all businesses, Napster started becoming a factor. File sharing, illegal file sharing and downloading and stuff. That became a factor. So from 2001, CD sales started to drop. For the next 10 years, about a rate of about 10% per year. It's pretty significant. By the time we moved to Geneva, I would say 3 years into the Geneva run, that started to level out, but you could see the handwriting on the wall that CD sales were going to start tanking even more because competition was coming from Amazon and what else was going on at the time? Well, Napster became somewhat legitimate at some point in time. And how that happened, I'll never know. They were an illegal business, and they became legit. What kind of a lesson is that teaching people? But in any case, lo and behold, around 15 years ago...
What's up, Steve? I mean, Sean.
Sean-Z.
Sean Gade.
Yeah. What's up? Anyway, all of a sudden, though, while we were in Geneva, before we moved here, this organization formed called Record Store Day. And the idea behind Record Store Day was to place an emphasis on the independent record store, to honor the independent record store, celebrate them and their impact on the community. And one of the ways they...
What year was that?
That started 15 years ago, so 2007-ish.
Okay.
And at that time, most people looked at Record Store Day, the organization, and what they were all about, and were kind of skeptical as to whether that was going to have an impact. I personally thought that it was a great thing. The first I heard about it, I went, bingo, that's what we need. And I don't know if you remember, but at that time, the large box stores were having exclusive deals with a lot of the big names in the record industry.
Okay.
And one of the ones that really, can we say anything we want on this?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. One of the ones that pissed me off were the Eagles signed a deal with Walmart to release a special Walmart-only record, or CD, or whatever it was, I think, at the time.
Just for Walmart.
Just for Walmart. And I think the Record Store Day industry, they obviously knew that. I don't know if that was a motivation to them. I think it was. But they came up with the idea of, let's have releases on vinyl that you can only get at the independent record store. You can't get it anywhere else. And they came up with the idea of Record Store Day.
Okay.
First year wasn't a big deal, but I thought it was a big deal. We did more business on that Saturday than we normally do. So it was a positive thing. The next year, we did even a little bit more business. The next year, more. Every Saturday, an increase. Every April, third Saturday in April that they held it, it was better than the year before. And then all of a sudden, it got to a point after about, I want to say 9 years, where those days, those record store days, were bigger than any single month except for Christmas, December. We were doing more business on the third Saturday in April than we did the entire month of January, or the entire month of February, March, May, June, July. Take any month. We beat that month on that day.
I noticed a lot of hip-hop artists, they do something special for a record day, like a release or a re-release of something of a Record Store Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hip-hop artists were very much into it. They loved that. I think as a general rule, they liked the whole idea of doing something special like that you just couldn't get anywhere. You can get it at the independent record store day, or the independent record store. There's some cool stuff coming out on this upcoming Record Store Day, too.
So for Record Store Day, well, I guess coming up then.
April 23rd.
April 23rd. So will what I'm trying to say. Record Store Day, are you anticipating new releases and new music from certain artists or genres, or they just show up and people come and you just be like, here? Or,
yes, and yes.
Well,
here's what's going on. We know.
Or do they know?
We know.
Oh, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And the public knows. They published a list about a month ago, I think. Became public. We placed our order on March 1st, but the general public knows what is being released. Now, we place an order. We don't know what we're getting though.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I may order 10 copies of Pearl Jam's Live on Two Legs that's coming out, or Juice WRLD I think is coming out with a special release for that day, and I might order 10 copies of that, but I may only get 5. I may only get 3.
So it's like a care package. You just open it up and whatever is there.
Yeah, it's like Christmas.
Gotcha.
It could be disappointing Christmas, but not really. It's all good. I feel more disappointed for the fans, believe it or not, because some of these releases are very, very limited. And, there's 1,400 stores in the United States that participate.
Okay.
Some of these releases are limited to 1,000 pieces. How do you spread 1,000 pieces amongst
1,400?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Yeah. Now, not every store is going to order the new Juice WRLD,
Right.
or the new Pearl Jam, the new Taylor Swift, or whatever.
Right.
Not every store is going to order that, but a lot do, and a lot will order a ton of copies of certain things. That Pearl Jam piece that's coming out, I ordered a lot. I'll be lucky if I see, a third of what I've ordered.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. So, since vinyl was going down, or CDs were going down, then vinyl started to take off. So the major seller in the store now, is it vinyl, or is it still CDs, or has vinyl kind of came back on as top king?
To answer your question, vinyl has been the big seller now for, I want to say, since we departed, pretty much since even before we departed Geneva.
Mm-hmm.
So for over 10 years, vinyl has been our biggest seller.
Now, do you know why that is, or no? Is the kids just getting back into vinyl, or is the adults getting back into vinyl and not downloading as much, or are they still downloading but like they still want the vinyl at the same time?
It's not an easy question to answer, because it has changed as time moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Vinyl started coming back into play slowly but surely, primarily due to the guys that were always into vinyl, and that combined with the fact that Record Store Day organization was promoting vinyl and pushing it, that helped. But I think as time has gone on, people in general may be getting a little tired of digital media and want something to touch and feel and see. And certainly when it comes to records, I will argue the point that a record sounds way better than an MP3 file for sure.
True.
And yeah, there is some digital files, digital media that sounds really, really good. And one of them is Super Audio Compact Disc. I thought that format sounded as close to vinyl as you could get. But when you think about it, digital is like this, right?
Right.
Analog is like this. It's not chopped up bits. It's not ones and zeros.
Right.
It's like that. So there's a warmth, a fluidity to analog music that is hard to duplicate without sampling rates that are much greater, that cause the product to be more expensive. The Japanese have always, I think, been ahead of the ball game when it comes to digital mastering. And again, that Super Audio compact disc, that was close, but that format never really caught on because of this.
What's it cost?
Expensive, yeah.
Because I notice now with hip hop artists, they're doing special releases of cassette tapes. They'll do a project that might have 200 cassette tapes limited to sell with the thing. So it's like they're going back to cassette tapes and vinyl, and it's really like a big trend now. The people they want cassette tapes now too. So it's like everything is almost going back. It's like reverse. Well, I guess reverse, you could call it that.
Well, there's a youth out there that grew up with nothing but streaming.
True.
They don't even know what compact discs are.
Or cassette tapes.
Or cassette tapes. Or 8-tracks.
They barely know what a CD is. Compact disc, yeah.
So, I think we learned something during the pandemic, during the 2 years that we were navigating all that. A lot of people were staying home. Not only adults staying home, but kids were staying home, right? And so people were re-exploring. The young kids were discovering, whereas the adults were re-exploring their music collections and their stereo systems. And oh yeah, I missed that, man. It sounds pretty good. And the kids were going, this is cool. This is different. Really? You put this on a turntable, you put a needle on there, and it produces music?
Now, you sell stereo systems here.
We do.
Are those, do they sell? Or are people coming in buying more of them? Or how's that?
I sold more turntables this past December than the previous 3 years.
Stop playing.
Combined.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we sold.
All right.
Yeah, we're not, this is not, I don't think it's plateaued. I think the interest is continuing to grow. The love is continuing to grow. It's going to be interesting to see. I'd like to have an interview with you 5 years from now and see where things are at.
Right.
3 years from now and see where things are at. It's very, very interesting what's going on.
Now let me ask you this. What was your first love of music and what got you into music? Because we talked before and like you said, you were a Army brat, so
yes.
You got to move from country to country to country. Now, when you were in those countries, did you notice the different types of music, or were you too young back then to get a grasp?
Sure, I noticed it. Okay. I come from a family that is a mom and dad who come from two different walks of life. My dad was a West Virginia farm boy, grew up on a small farm in the Allegheny Mountains, and my mom, Polish-German woman from the south side of Chicago. Her family were steel mill workers. They met while both of them were in the Army, and they knew each other 3 weeks, got married, and ended up living together, married for 71 years. Okay. My mom was a major influence on the music, and so was my dad. My dad was big country and western, as in Hank Williams, Hank Snow, Hank Thompson, all the Hanks, and my mom, she loved Bo Diddley, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and Elvis Presley. I think my first real love of music started happening around when I was 5 years old. And 5 years old, I was 1957, and I remember getting up on the couch and doing air guitar to Elvis Presley, Don't Be Cruel, and All Shook Up and Hound Dog. So, and, oddly enough, Elvis was influenced by the blues. And later on in life, I became a big fan of the blues. People ask me what is my favorite genre of music. I love a lot of things, but near and dear to my heart are the blues. And I really love Chicago blues, as in Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, and that's, yeah, I love it. And therein lies a whole nother story, because part of my trip to opening up the record store was I tried to open up a blues club before doing the record store.
Kiss the Sky Blues? What?
The working name for it was Morganfields.
Morganfield.
McKinley Morganfield, a.k.a. Muddy Waters.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to call the club Morganfields. That was the working title. And I had tried to purchase Chris Chelios' building in Chicago, where he had his restaurant. Chris Chelios played for the Blackhawks, and he had this place called Chelly's Chili. And I tried buying that building from him to open up a club there. And it didn't work out. And because it didn't work out, then I did Plan B, which was open up the record store. And I'm glad I did this. I think it would have been a working a club. Even though I work a lot of hours here, that's a different type of work.
Right.
It's later hours.
Different type of monster.
Yeah.
Right. Now I want to ask you about this. Before the pandemic, you would have live performances here. Now, are you going back to that, having live performances here
Sure.
and stuff?
Yeah, slow but sure, but yeah. We might do something on Record Store Day. We might have some live music that day. And then we have a show booked for May 14th. Noah Gabriel's going to reform his original band that I think recorded his first album or two.
Okay.
And or at least the first band that he had. And they're scheduled to play here May 14th. And, I think it's 14th. It's that Saturday, whatever is around there. And then we're going to take it from there. I can tell you, I am getting lots of emails for people that are touring, that are looking for places to play.
Oh, okay.
That has really picked up in the last month. It's really kind of cool to see that. It's like it was before the pandemic happened. It's starting to get like that. So yeah.
Can we talk about the project next door? Or no?
What project next door?
Nothing. I'm trying to
No, we can't. Well, it's you know, let's put it this way. There's this empty space next door, and it's been empty for quite some time. And over a year ago, the folks that own the space, Batavia Enterprises, had approached us to consider doing something with a person who was going to open up a comedy club.
Okay.
And for whatever reasons that didn't work out, and we kind of said, we being myself and a couple other folks that are involved in this, Jim Freeland and Tim Hopkins, the three of us approached Batavia Enterprises with, well, why don't we open up a live music venue there, connected to the store? And that was something, you know, at one time I was thinking about moving the store to Aurora to be next to the venue down there that opened. But that didn't happen. And so, again, another plan B is maybe do something here, which, quite frankly, makes a lot of sense. I've been doing live music here.
Right.
For 26 years I've been doing live music. And I think over those 20-some years, I've had over 2,500 shows.
How many?
2,500.
That's crazy.
We were doing, prior to the pandemic, we were doing 2 on Saturday here, Saturday morning cafe, Saturday afternoon cafe, and then we would do a Friday or a Sunday night show.
And just remember, I did a record release at the one on Randall Road in Kiss the Sky.
Did you really? Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, unbeknownst to me, the manager of the place at the time, Ruben, you know Ruben Hood, right?
Yeah.
I think you know Ruben. Ruben was booking shows left and right there, and he, I think, worked in the evening a lot and the weekends and whatnot, and so we had shows happening like Thursday, Friday, Saturday at the Randall Road place, and Ruben swears that Fall Out Boy played there before they became
Fall Out Boy.
Huge. And but we did have Lucky Boys Confusion played there, and a few other local area bands that went on to make some noise.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there any last words you want to say, or anything that you have coming up that you want the people to know about Kiss the Sky, or any events or anything that's going on with you and Kiss the Sky?
Oh boy. No, other than, the project that we're working on regarding next door, that's kind of slowly moving along and keeping our fingers crossed that that's going to work out. Record Store Day is the big thing coming up. Nothing really major. I mean, look, we're hoping that things get back to kind of normal, the new normal, or whatever it's going to be. I'm very positive about that, and I don't mean for me, I mean for the world. I'm very hopeful and positive about that, and we'll see how things go.
Can you tell people where you are located at, the city, the address, and the dates, the times that you're open?
Sure. We are located in downtown Batavia. We're a block south of Wilson Avenue, where the address here is 180 First Street, and First Street is one block east of Route 31, and we are one block south of Wilson Avenue. We're behind the Batavia Library, so to speak. We're one block south of my favorite place to eat breakfast, which is Daddy-O's Diner. So if you know where Daddy-O's is, we're a block south of that. We have a website. It's kissthesky.net. The phone number here is 630-406-0086. We're open 7 days a week, 360...
You're open 7 days a week?
Yeah, we're open 7 days a week.
I know that.
Monday through Sunday. And the only days we're closed during the year, really, are Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. And it's that way because I love what I do. During the pandemic, if I could leave you with this, when we were shut down for 68 days because we were considered non-essential, I came to the store every day anyway. And I did some curbside business, and I took orders over the phone, and we did home delivery. So we did a little bit of business. 10% of what we would normally do.
So you were delivering vinyl to people's houses?
Yes.
That's like the new Amazon something. You might want to...
Amazon ain't got nothing on us.
I'm like, you might want to, I don't know, copyright that or something.
But the point is I did that because, one, I didn't want to stay home because I knew I'd go nuts if I stayed home. Two, there were things to do here. Clean up, organize, order things. But I really came here because I wanted to feel normal, and coming to the store every day is normal for me. And so I did that, and those of you that ordered things from us during that shutdown, I really, really love you for that, and appreciate that more than you will ever know. And it helped us get through a pretty tough time there. And as it turned out, during 2020, we actually increased our business a little bit over the previous year. And we were shut down for 68 days. So figure that. After we reopened, the community support was tremendous. And what I really noticed was a lot of young people coming in more than ever. And we started selling things like that we had never really sold in strong numbers before, like Taylor Swift, Lana Del Rey, Harry Styles, Kendrick Lamar, Kanye West, Mac Miller, tons of that. It was great to see the youth, the new faces, the freshness, coming in and exploring a record store like they never did before. So for me, that whole experience, even though the world was navigating a really tough time, there was some beauty in the fallout from that, you know? And so that's what I want to leave you with, that out of some bad things can come some really good things.
Out of chaos comes beauty. Woo, might have to trademark that.
Yes, you do.
Out of chaos comes beauty. All right, this is the KIK with Steve, owner of Kiss the Sky. We want to thank y'all for tuning in and support your local record stores. He's in Batavia. Support them. Support people who are doing positive things in the community. I guess that's that. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And everything that you are doing.
We're trying.
Yes, you are, and you're doing a good job of it
Thank
too.
you. I appreciate it. Peace. We got Kiss the Sky.